224-5422.
Want to make your smartphone brilliant? One tap creates a virtual wine fine tuner. Another, a coffee refiner. A beauty cream and makeup enhancer.
Wow. Look at your eye.
What a difference.
And with still just a tap, a strength and flexibility harmonizer.
Yeah, I definitely felt something different.
This is the Vitalizer. In the App Store on any smartphone, a simple download that will embed specific frequencies and vibrations into your phone's light photons and sound waves. Calibrations designed to affect taste.
The Vitalizer one is better than the other one, for sure.
Hydration, absorption,
Feels silkier.
and perhaps most incredibly, your strength, flexibility, and energy. Amazing.
Wow.
Crazy.
Well, salud. I'm loving it.
Go to www.vitalizerapp.com and make your smartphone brilliant.
The opinions expressed on the following sponsored program are strictly those of the host, guests, and callers, and not necessarily those of this station, its staff, management, or sponsors.
AMP2.TV presents Tell Us Your Business, where you're invited on the air to tell us what makes your business stand out in the community. It's important we hear from you to tell us all we need to know about what you do best. Tell Us Your Business uses the latest radio and television production systems, and all shows can be seen on AMP2.TV. If you have a question for our guest, call 888-565-1470. Now, let's get ready as our guest hits the airwaves and informs us about what we need to know on Tell Us Your Business.
Good evening and welcome to Tell Us Your Business. My name is Melissa Nash and I am the owner of Accounts Receivable Incorporated located in West Palm Beach, Florida. We are a full-service collection agency representing the construction industry, homeowners and condominium associations, as well as professional services helping them out with their debt. One of the things that I like to talk to business owners about, or office managers, different business professionals that are there, is to really talk about the function of cash flow. And the idea behind cash flow is more about being proactive rather than reactive. If we can do all the right things and all the right steps, get the check into your business prior to having to retain a third-party collection agency, then everything's better. If you have any questions during the show, please feel free to give us a call at 888-565-1470, and I will repeat the number again. One of the things that I found really helps a lot of our clients and different business leaders in the community is based upon the book How to Get Paid on Time. And we wrote a 10-step process, and one of the first things that we like to talk to business owners about is being proactive rather than reactive. And one of the first things that we like to look at is, what is your credit application process? Do you extend credit just because you think everybody else does and it's what you're required to do? And if you do extend credit, do you really know who your customer is, and do you give credit in return in regard to time as well as dollars? So an example is, we had the privilege of working with a auto parts supply company, and in looking at their credit management practices, we did some modifications and we looked at how can they grow their business with the small marketplace, try to help some of the small mechanic shops, as well as try to grow their revenue share. And what we found was that when we took the small guys and we gave them a 1-week credit, and so basically every Monday we picked up a check for what they purchased the week before, what that did was it allowed the small business owner to not have to stop what he's doing, get out from underneath a car 3 or 4 times a day, write a check for every little delivery and part that he had coming, and allowed him to build up at the end of the week. But at the same time, he didn't have a month's worth of supplies and get to the end of his month and not have enough money there to do that. So there's different things that you can do. So when you're looking at your specific business, do look at credit management in regard to time and dollars for the two things that you do. Again, if there's any questions, 888-565-1470. I'm going to flip through the book so that we can make sure that we talk about all the right things that are there in your business to do. And we talk about doing business intentionally with who you want to do business with. You know, one of the things that you want to do is make sure that you have really good billing practices. One time we helped an organization out, and their over 90 was just tremendous, and they worked in the construction industry, and they happened to be one of the last vendors that were on the job. Well, what happened was their billing department was behind, and the invoices were going out the door with the date of service on it. Well, when the invoices were going out the door, they were actually going out the door 45 days late. By the time the client received the invoice, they had already closed on some of the houses. They had already closed on some of the property. Well, it was really a bookkeeping issue, and it turned into being a collection issue. So the clients were so aggravated that the bookkeepers just took the work, they sat it aside, they said, oh, this is a problem, I'll deal with it later. And the next thing you know, this local business had hundreds of thousands of dollars on the street, and the entire problem really was about their billing practices. So like to talk to businesses about making sure that they follow internally. What are your billing practices? What are you doing? And making sure that you don't have any accounting breakdowns internally with what you need to do. In regard to tracking your dollars, one of my great measurements that I like to look at is not just your aging, but I want to look at your days sales outstanding. What I would suggest for any business is that your DSO really shouldn't be more than 150% of your business average. So if you're in an industry where you have an average 21-day per term, you might only have a 35-day DSO at the maximum. If you're at a 30-day term, you might only have a 45-day DSO. In construction with PWP, with pay when paid, that can tend to stretch you out, but I really want you to watch that and not let that get out of control. One of the things that we find most with small business owners is call reluctance. I love my clients. I had to work really, really hard to get the sale. I'm trying to build a relationship with this client, and the last thing I want to do is pick up the phone and look like I'm broke or look like I'm desperate. And it really may have nothing to do with what your internal financial situation is, but you've done the work. You deserve to be paid. You want to be paid, but you just don't want to pick up the phone. So what I want to tell you is that if you can't or don't want to, make sure that somebody is doing that for you. Whether you outsource your first-party collections to a company like ours, or if you have a part-time bookkeeper or someone that's there, make sure that doesn't happen. We've also found in many businesses that bookkeepers can be very introverted. They are the best at the paperwork. They're so good at posting. They're so good at accuracy and getting it done. But if the bookkeeper has to pick up the phone and ask for a check, they just don't want to do it. So with call reluctance, we kind of joke and say that, a phone can weigh 5,000 pounds. And, we've heard every excuse in the world why we can't, collect. And one of my favorite, comedy lines is, oh, I'm sorry, I had to pull staples out of the carpet. I didn't have time to make any collection calls. I have seen bookkeepers, business owners, they will come up with any excuse in the world not to make that collection call. So don't let call reluctance come into your business. Make sure that you get that done. What we like to do is we need to say that ROI in the business world usually will stand for a return on investment, but we say that an ROI call should be made somewhere between 7 to 10 to 14 days, depending upon your industry. And in our line of business, an ROI call stands for receipt of invoice. We believe that in being proactive to avoid having any non-payment issues, make that first telephone call somewhere between 7 and 14 days. And the call's going to be real simple. It's bookkeeper to bookkeeper, peer to peer. Hi, my name is Melissa. I am calling on behalf of the radio station. How are you today? I'm just calling to follow up on invoice number 1234. I want to make sure you received it, it's approved, and it's in line for payment. So ROI stands for exactly that, receipt of invoice. The number one excuse for not paying a bill is that you didn't get it. The second excuse for not paying a bill is that you have a question or a concern. And by having a call made at day 7, day 14, you're going to understand that you can take away objection number 1, you can take away objection number 2, and it gives you a great way to make that intro in. Again, if there are any questions, let me give you the number. It is 888-565-1470. Love taking calls to talk to you about your issues. The 28-day call is pretty simple. Just make that telephone call. Hi, it's Melissa calling on behalf of the radio station. Listen, I just wanted to follow up. We spoke a couple weeks ago. I know that you got the invoice. You said it was approved and in line for payment. Just want to make sure that that's going to get out in the mail this week. Most people, especially bookkeepers, they don't like to be fibbers. They like to be straightforward and tell you exactly how it's going to be. And it's really good cash flow for you to know. If they tell you, hey, listen, you didn't make the cut this week, but your check can be cut next week, and it gives you good input on how to manage your business. So make sure that, you have the ROI call up front. and try to keep up with the 28-day call. What I want to tell you is that you need to really think about plugging your leaks quickly. You'd really never know what's going to happen, but making those customer service proactive telephone calls, it's a great way to know that if you have an issue within your organization, the issue could be with a service person, it could be issue with a quality of a product or a service. There are lots of things that can happen in your business, and cash flow and collections can be the first indication of something that's there. So make sure that you follow up with that. And if you have any leaks, you want to plug them reasonably quickly. You know, one of the things that I love to talk about in our business is being reasonable. It just so happens that we did a collection one time, and the landscaper had installed some trees. And the trees went into shock and they died, or they looked dead. And the manager did not want to pay for the trees for the final draw because she had dead trees installed. And the landscaper's like, no, the tree's just in shock. It's going to be fine. I checked it. It's getting water. It's going to be okay. And the manager's like, nope, I have 3 dead trees. I'm not paying the final bill. So what we have is a failure to communicate. And while they did communicate, the issue is that the manager just didn't want to pay for dead trees. And my client was adamant that he was right. The trees weren't dead. They were going to be there, and he wanted to get paid, and that's what he wanted to do. The reality is that the cost of replacing the trees was $600, and the dollar amount that was being held was $30,000. And, you know, mind over, you know, emotion, you have to set emotion aside. You have to, you know, have a positive approach for doing everything. The trees could be replaced for $600. The trees that were in shock could be replanted and used again at a later date. Yes, there were some labor costs that were in there, but it was actually less to do that and not have to carry the $30,000, not have to litigate or go into any kind of a collection matter in order to do that. So always try to use an approach to doing something. Make sure that you have a good understanding and do that. So being reasonable is there. You know, one of the things that I like to tell my clients is that breaking up is hard to do. And this great book that's out there, it's called The Pumpkin Plan. And, you know, the idea is to make sure that you're farming and you're taking care of your best clients instead of spending this time nursing the seeds and nursing all of the pumpkins that really aren't going to give you the yield, and they're really not going to be there for you. So if you have a bad client that's just sucking away your profitability, sucking away your time, just not paying your bills on time, I kind of laugh about this, but, give them the business card of your biggest competitor. Tell them, you know what, hey, you should go to work with them. They are a great company, and they would just love to have a client like you. Let your favorite competitor just take that client and go away with it. You know, one of the things that you have to think about is you may have some industry-specific remedies. You know, an example, in the construction industry, we like to work with subcontractors to do notice to owners so that they can be proactive. They may have lien rights. The Homeowners Association, World Condominium Association, they also have lien rights. So we like to work with our clients to make sure that they're preserving their lien rights and doing all the things that they need to do. And on the flip side, what I'd like to tell you, if you're getting a telephone call from a collection agency, and if for some reason, I say life has happened to you and you've fallen into some traps or some different things, do pick up the phone and speak to the collection agency that's calling you. They are there to help you. They're there to assist you. They can create a workout plan. They can do other things. You know, the failure to communicate cannot be the go-to option. You really do have to look for a way to reach resolution. And the collection agencies really are there to be that mediator. And they can work with you in some cases where there's an issue. So always be there for that. You know, the idea is to avoid lawsuits, but if it happens, you know, don't be afraid of it. Go to court. If you feel that you've been wronged, if you feel that there's something that's there, you know, do what you need to do to protect your accounts receivable. But at the same time, you know, if you do have a debt and an obligation, you may be able to avoid litigation. You may be able to avoid additional attorney's costs. So make sure that you communicate up front and try to avoid that if you can. And what I like to say is that communication really is the most powerful tool so that you can do that. So here I want to let you know that we have our book, How to Get Paid on Time Every Time. If you're listening to the show live or if you're listening to the show after the fact and you'd like an autographed copy of the book, you can find it on Kindle. It is available on Amazon. It's also available for download on Kindle, or if you just email me at Melissa@4 aronline.com. I will be happy to send you a copy of that to do. So let's talk about being reactive rather than proactive. So the first beginning of the show, we talked about, 10 steps to avoid collections, 10 steps to be proactive in your business and what to do. But let's talk about what might happen if you've done all the right things. So I did my notice to owner. I've recorded my claim of lien. I have a really good contract that my attorney wrote for me. All of my terms and conditions are there. I did get a personal guarantee from my client. We did the 7-day call. We did the 28-day call. We've done all the right things, and I still can't get paid. Melissa, what am I going to do? Will you help me? Well, the best thing to do at this point is to give us a call, or someone like us, or you can reach out to your attorney if you want to go to litigate. But what we try to tell clients is sometimes we do have to refer files for litigation. There is no choice, but sometimes we can attempt to collect and recover for our clients without going straight to court. And so with a collection agency, what we do is we use the tools of letters, telephone calls, credit bureau reporting as an attempt to collect and recover your debt. We do have an opportunity to speak with people, and we try to approach them in a very calm and comfortable way so that they will communicate back with us in return. And we find that depending upon the style of the case, we do have a very good success rate. Again, our construction lines that we specialize in, construction, we love the construction industry and working with our subcontractors, love homeowners associations, condominium associations. Your life befell on your neighbor, and they're not paying their homeowners association dues. And sometimes it can be, a lack of regard because I'm angry about a situation, or, my neighbor's not painting their house, I'm not going to paint mine, so there are different things that you have. So we're very good at helping them with that. And we love our professional services industries. So we get to work with architects, attorneys, CPAs, engineers. So we get to work with a lot of professional services, and their product really is their time. So they've sold their time, they've invoiced for their time, their talent, and so they're looking to get compensated on the back end for that. So if you find yourself in this position that you've given away of service and you've done all the right things and you haven't been paid, we can find success for a lot of our clients for doing that. And typically, I'll give you an example. We had a case that we settled today, and it was for a professional services firm, and they didn't pay, and the client had a signed contract, the client had a personal guarantee, the client invoiced properly, the client billed properly for the service. They didn't try to mark up the services or do anything like that. Our client did everything right, attempted to communicate for close to a year, to pay the bill, pay the bill, pay the bill, pay the bill. Finally, they retained our firm. We contacted them. They hired an attorney. The attorney contacted us, and basically she said she offered 25 cents on the dollar. We immediately rejected the offer. And then she came back and said, well, you didn't give me a reasonable counter. And so the letter was pretty simple. And in short, it said that, like you are a professional and you sell your time and your knowledge and your education, what you're doing is you're asking a colleague to discount their professional services, basically saying that your colleague's time, education, and experience has little to no value, on top of the fact that that our client has had to retain a third party to settle this. We believe that payment in full is giving a discount because they didn't take the opportunity to settle it before, and now a third party has to be paid. Therefore, they have offered a discount. And so they accepted that argument and they paid the bill. So, what we try to do is to use intellect over emotion, try to communicate with them about the value of the services, what was done. And on the flip side of that, at the end of the day, the attorney could look at the quality of the paperwork, the fact that we did have the personal guarantee, we did have the companies locked up, they did engage in the services of our client. The services were rendered without question, and there really was no legal defense to it. So at the end of the day, to ask for a discount wasn't legally warranted, but we were able to collect and recover on behalf of our client. So you need to take a look at that. If you've got any situations on your receivables where you haven't been paid, if you've got any situations where you're looking at things that need to happen. You may want to consider, on a case-by-case basis, what can you do to help for that file. So we like to work with files for that. Some of our other great cases that we've had include a few medical things. So, we'd like to say that, unfortunately, life befell somebody. They were sick, they had to go to the doctor, they broke something, they were out of work for a while. The light bill didn't stop, the mortgage payment didn't stop, the car payment didn't stop. So, unfortunately, sometimes one or two things happen. Medical bills always fall behind. Again, speak with your provider, speak with the agency if you've been placed with one, because they're always there to help you and to work with you on those different things. We've seen cases where we have businesses that'll come in and they'll say, hey, can you help us with this file? And their paperwork internally is terrible. Their contracts are not written well. Their terms and conditions are not there. There's no clear definition of what they did. And, it isn't that we can't collect and help our client, but we just don't have all the tools and the resources that we need. So if you have not engaged in proper legal counsel who understands writing a contract for your industry, I would always encourage you, please go seek legal advice. Please, talk out your contracts, look at the different things that you have to do, and make sure that you've dotted your I's, crossed your T's, so that in the event you have to come to someone like us, you can help. One of the things that we like to do within our organization is we do work for businesses as a first party rather than a third party. So what that basically means is you heard that, I'm going to call us a collection agency, which means we have to give what's called the mini Miranda. So hopefully you've never heard the statement, hi, my name is Melissa, I'm a debt collector. This is an attempt to collect a debt, and any information that we obtain would be used for that purpose. So hopefully you've never heard that. If you have, I hope that you didn't hang up on the person that was on the other end of the phone. I hope that you did have a conversation with them, because they are there to help you out with this, with what they can. And the nicer you are, if they have the ability to give you a gift, and what I call it in my office is I have a gift for you. I can give you the gift of time. I can give you the gift of a discount maybe. Maybe I can give you a little bit of both. I can't give you a whole lot of both. But collectors usually do have a little bit of leeway. Management may have a little bit of more in certain circumstances. And a lot of that is going to be based upon, what caused the debt on your part. Was it an illness? Was it a sickness? And we had somebody that came in our office and said, listen, I didn't pay my bill because I thought I could get away with it. I truly thought I could just get away with not paying this bill. Now I see that I can't. Now I'm in trouble. Tell me, what can I do? How can you help me? Well, it took a structured plan to get her back together. It took over 12 months to clear up her case and to do what we needed to do. But we were very, very happy to work with that person and get them back on track and do what we need to do. But one of the things that's really important, let's talk about your small business that's there, because the name of the show is Tell Us Your Business. If you're a small business owner, if you're an office manager, if you're someone that's there, and we find ourselves right now in what could be considered a very good economy, things are doing well. We're seeing businesses grow. We're seeing, people just contracted to the point that they can't really take on any more work. One of the things that you can outsource that we try to help some of our clients with is first-party calling. First-party calling is real simple. Let's go back to that ROI call. We talk about making that receipt of invoice. Hi, my name is Melissa. I'm just calling to follow up on invoice number 1234. Did you get it? Is it approved? And is it in line for payment? So if your office is really, really busy and someone just doesn't have the time to do that, you can outsource just the telephone work. And so we're happy to do that for a lot of our clients, where we just call, we chase the money, and I call it pleasant persistence. We're just there. Hey, I called you last week. I left a message. You said you were going to put a check in the mail. Did you get a chance to do that? Oh, you didn't get it out until yesterday. Okay. Can you tell me what the check number was, please? So we do that kind, persistent follow-up. So, even if they're pulling that checkbook out and they're writing it as they're telling me what the check number is and they're doing it, hopefully we're just doing that pleasant nudge, nudge, nudge to kind of speed up your cash flow and do what we need to do so that we can collect your money and get it going. So, in regard to collections, you have the first party that we do. We can help you out with that. You have the third party. Again, with construction, love my construction companies. Can't tell you how much we love working with them and the notice to owner that's out there. So if you are not sure what a notice to owner is in the construction world, anybody who's hired as a subcontractor by a general contractor and 3 people deep just from the subcontractor subcontractors as well as the material and supply companies, they have the right to lien your property, whether it's personal or commercial, and in the event of non-payment. In order to have lien rights on your property, they have to give you a properly served notice. The notice has to be served within 45 days. It has to be structured. It has to be written according to state statute, and that's one of the things that we do for our subcontractors. And in the event of non-payment, the subcontractor can now look at lien rights against the homeowner to collect and recover. Now, as a homeowner, you have to be careful because you could be responsible for paying the debt twice. You could have paid the general contractor, but if he didn't provide you a release of lien for the subcontractor, you could be responsible for paying it again. So if you're a homeowner, you have any questions about that, please do reach out to some construction law firms. They can help you make sure that they explain the lien release process to you well. Hopefully your general contractor is doing all the right things. You're paying the general contractor, he's paying all of your subs and all the material men, and you're not going to have any issues. Sometimes I've seen a homeowner has an issue with cabinets and he doesn't want to pay for landscaping or vice versa. And so try to be very careful, and again, use intellect over emotion when you're facing that, because you could be dealing with another small business owner who could be hiring someone like me to call you and say, you know, Miss Smith, I'm sorry that you're having problems with your cabinets or your landscaping, but you have to pay my contractor. You have to pay for my services. And, you know, and it's just a matter of having a conversation, and sometimes it's a little emotional. But we want to work on getting through that and what we need to do that. So again, my name is Melissa. My company is Accounts Receivable Incorporated, or ARI. We are located in West Palm Beach, Florida, and we love working with businesses in regard to their accounts. Our website is www.4aronline.com, and a phone number, if you ever have any questions, is 561-697-4911. And again, we wrote a book, How to Get Paid on Time Every Time. You can give me a call, shoot me an email, jump on Amazon, grab it off of Kindle. You can get a hard copy book if you're looking to do that. It's been a pleasure to speak with you. I have been on the radio a few times before. I hope that if you're listening to the show that you have found it educational and that we've been able to help your business. Thank you so much, and I look forward to speaking with you again.
This has been Tell Us Your Business, where a special guest comes on every week and tells us what they do. All shows can be seen on amp2.tv, and if you wish to be a guest, call 866-224-5422 and tell us about your business. That's 866-224-5422. This has been an amp2.tv production.